What's going on, people? It's your boy Kalechi back with another video, and we're gonna be doing a quick update of my portfolio, my passive income portfolio on M1 Finance. And we're gonna talk through a few of the companies on here. Particularly, we're gonna talk about Intel and how Amazon is launching its new Amazon Web Services chips to take on Intel and Nvidia, and what that means for Intel going forward. Then we'll also talk about Disney and why I'm bullish on Disney moving into the future. And we have a note here about Microsoft and how Microsoft's CEO, Satya Nadella, is selling out on a bunch of his stock. And we'll talk about if that's a big deal or not a big deal. But first, let's just look over the portfolio. The portfolio sits at about $5,500. It started out last year with me just investing $100. And it's crazy to just think that this portfolio is now 55x where it was last year when I first invested my first $100 into any single stock, when I decided I was going to try my hands at picking stocks and investing in single businesses. And since then, I have learned so much. At that time, if anybody was following me all the way back in May 2020 when I started this portfolio, you know we had like 20 different companies in here. We had everything from Walmart to Caterpillar to Johnson & Johnson. All kinds of companies were in here. But since then, I've learned more about when you have a portfolio that only has about $5,500 in it, you probably need to be a lot more concentrated on your bets that you're making within that portfolio. And that's basically what I've been doing. I've concentrated all the way down from over 20 plus businesses that I had in my portfolio all the way down to 8. And even in these 8, really, there are only 4 main businesses that are going to make up the core of everything in the portfolio. And those businesses are Microsoft, Apple, Intel, and Disney. The rest of the holdings that you have in here, either I'm keeping them because they've just been performing really well for me over time, or I'm just keeping them in here because it's sentimental reasons. For example, Costco. It's literally sentimentality that makes me keep having Costco on here. I love the business, but I just cannot invest any more money in the business because it's just that expensive. And so I haven't put any more money into Costco. Store Capital was one of those. I just like collecting dividends from it, and I'm just like, you know what? It can keep giving me those dividends. I'm not going to do much about it. And it can just sit there. And then the other one is Jeppy. The Jeppy position is literally just cash. Like when you see this Jeppy position, just think of it as cash. It pays me a dividend every single month. It does a strategy that I cannot do because I don't have enough money, which is selling covered calls and secured puts. I like it. I want that extra dividend, which is why it sits right there. But if anything happens in the market where the market tanks like 20, 30 something percent, and I'm looking for extra cash to deploy, this is where I'm going to get that cash from. I just like, in the meantime, for me to be able to collect some of those dividends as I hold the stock. And then finally, Bank of America. This is probably one of the best investments that I have ever made, because this was one of the luckiest investments. Last year, I think towards the end of last year, I just kept on noticing like nobody was investing in banks, and it was like, this makes no sense. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to put some money into Bank of America. And I bought Bank of America all the way from, I think it was July, all the way until the end of last year. And that has served me very, very well. It is literally my best performing asset that I have more than like $20 in. That's been the portfolio, and that's what the portfolio looks like. And moving into the future, like I said, the core holdings in this is going to be Microsoft, Apple, Intel, and Disney. And today we're going to talk about Intel and some of the forces that are focused around Intel. As a matter of fact, like I said at the beginning of this, Amazon just unleashed its 3rd generation chip for its data centers. And one of the things that Intel has been losing in is data centers. So it says in the article that Amazon.com cloud computing unit on Tuesday introduced 2 new custom computer chips aimed at helping its customers beat the cost of using chips from Intel and Nvidia. On Tuesday, the company released the 3rd generation of its Graviton chip that is designed to compete with central processors from Intel and AMD. The Graviton 3 is 25% faster than its predecessors, and Dave Brown, vice president of Elastic Compute Cloud at Amazon, told Reuters that the company expects it to provide a better performance per dollar than Intel's chips. We have thrown down the gauntlet on performance, and I believe that in the years to come, we'll see better performance than all of them. Intel, AMD on price per performance specifically. That's the thing they have got to keep our customers happy on. As you know, Amazon is all about trying to get everything to be all within the stack. They want to own everything. Just like Apple wants to own everything, which is why Apple started developing its own chip. Amazon is doing basically the same thing for its AWS systems. So once again, Intel is facing threats. And when the news dropped that Intel was going to have to face Amazon for another data provider and another chip manufacturer is entering into the foray, the stock actually plunged once again. And so things are not looking good for Intel. However, the interesting thing about this entire thing, which is my thesis when it comes to investing in Intel, is it's very simple. I'm not betting on Intel to be the best designer of chips moving forward, even though their chipsets have really started to do what they need to do because all of a sudden, because AMD put pressure on them, they're able to make good chips again. But my main bet on Intel is about their manufacturing prowess. But even that doesn't mean that Intel is going to be the only manufacturer of chipsets here in the West. We're seeing Samsung announce that they're going to be building a chipset here in the United States. We already see that TSMC is going to be building a chipset in Nevada. The point is, Intel cannot sit on its laurels, but I believe that Intel, with its manufacturing prowess, will be able to take that advantage to be able to service companies like Amazon. Because guess what Amazon is not doing? Amazon is not about to be the manufacturer of its own chips. It needs partners to be able to manufacture those chips. And that is my bet. My bet is that Intel is able to be the manufacturing partners for all of these different chip designers, whether it's AMD, whether it's Nvidia, whether it's AWS, whether it's Apple, whoever is designing the chip. I want Intel to be the default option for everyone, but it has steep competition when you look at companies like TSMC and companies like Samsung as well. But that's my bet when it comes to Intel. The other company that I'm looking at, especially moving into 2020, that I'll be buying a lot more. And as a matter of fact, I actually bought some of last week when I last made some purchases, and that is in Disney. I actually bought some shares in Disney last week when it dropped below 150, and it's now at 142. I'm going to be buying more of Disney. And the main reason that I'm going to be buying of Disney is because I believe that the whole panic that caused the stock to fall when they announced that they only added about 2 million new subscribers in the third quarter of this year, I think that was way overblown. The thing about Disney is you have to understand the way Disney releases its movies and its shows on any platform. Disney wants to hype up during the winter months and then ramp up so that people go to the parks during the summer months. If you look at any releases that Disney does, it doesn't put their primetime movies during the summer months. Their primetime blockbusters are usually towards the end of the year, ramping up towards everyone being able to go to the park in the middle of the year. And so that's the same thing that Disney is doing with this. As a matter of fact, Disney's Spider-Man No Way Home, it went on sale and the thing crashed so many different sites. On Cyber Monday, when they unleashed Spider-Man on sale and said, hey, you can pre-order your tickets, this thing sold out in minutes. It says in this article, Spider-Man No Way Home tickets pre-orders kicked off early on Cyber Monday, with several websites going down after facing massive traffic from fans eager to score early access to the movies. No Way Home opens on December 17th, while early screening takes place Thursday, December 16th. So this is the crazy thing. Because the tickets sold out so far, if you want to buy tickets to go see this thing, people are bidding up to $10,000, which, first of all, that's a problem. Nobody should be buying these tickets for $10,000. But it just shows the excitement that people have for these things, the excitement that people have to go see this movie. I mean, you had tickets selling for $24,000. That is ridiculous. That is just how much excitement there is when Disney comes out with one of its MCU flicks. But the other thing is, Disney's release schedule for the end of this year is jam-packed. Like I said, Disney is an end-of-year kind of production company. They're going to release their shows towards the end of the year. We start seeing ramp up in about October, then November, then December, and then January. We see the ramp up of all of these type of shows. As a matter of fact, for this year, the ramp up is showing us Hawkeye, which is a show. I just saw the trailer for Hawkeye. I'm excited. I'm going to go watch it. They actually dropped the first 2 episodes already. I'm excited to go watch it. I'm trying to hold out to actually watch it with my family when I go home for Christmas. Right after Hawkeye gets done, which will be finished around December 22nd, it's a mini series that they're doing. You have the Book of Boba Fett, which Mandalorian was literally the thing that launched Disney Plus last year. And now they're coming back with the next iteration of it with the Book of Boba Fett. So the thing that I have to say with Disney is, people need to relax with all of this hype of like, oh my God, Disney is not growing anymore and they're just killing the stock. Disney is fine. And then the other part of it is, even when you look at Disney's parks business, everywhere, in almost every meeting that I've had this year, I have coworkers that are like, yeah, I'm going to Disney. Like, throughout the entire summer, People were going to Disneyland, like they were traveling, and we don't live close to Disney, by the way. It's a trip. Like you got to drive like 8+ hours to get to Disney World in Florida, which is the closest one to us. And you had people going there all the time. In other words, people are still going to the parks. The only thing that's holding down the parks is all of this stuff about Omicron and all this other stuff that we have going on with vaccine mandates and everything that we're having to deal with when it comes to the pandemic. But Disney is looking like it's going to be fine. So where Disney sits right now is in a very strong position. I definitely see the business recovering back to where it was pre-pandemic levels and actually being stronger going forward, because now it has its own streaming site to enable it to be able to sell all of the products and everything that it wants to sell and all the shows and content that it actually puts out there. The one thing that people have to understand, especially in today, is the main metric you have to look at for a lot of these entertainment companies. It's not about how much they're spending on content and all. No. You have to pay attention to attention. Attention is a currency that Disney, Netflix, all of these companies are trying to go after. And whoever holds the attention of the public is whoever is going to make the most money when it comes to these kind of products. So those are the two main businesses that I have the biggest inclination and is going to actually hold the biggest space in my portfolio and the way I'm going to be buying stocks moving forward, because they're just in such a prime position to take advantage of them, as they are now kind of oversold in my opinion, and kind of are presenting a good opportunity to buy into. The last thing that I was going to talk about is there's a massive headline going around everywhere because Satya Nadella, who is the CEO of Microsoft, sold $285 million worth of stock, which is actually half of his entire holding of all Microsoft shares. Nadella sold nearly 840,000 shares of Microsoft just before Thanksgiving, netting him about $285 million in proceeds. The thing about it is there's a million reasons why people sell shares. It says in the write-up that the reason that they put out there that Nadella sold out of Microsoft for personal financial planning and diversification reasons. He is committed to the continued success of Microsoft to the company, and his holdings significantly exceed the holding requirements set by the Microsoft board. I believe the holding that is set by the board is he has to have 15 times whatever his compensation package is, and he makes about $2 million a year. And he owns about 830,000 more shares of Microsoft, which is worth about $280 million, which shows that he definitely still has money in the company. There are multiple reasons why people sell out of stocks. I'm not going to read too much into it. People may need the money for various reasons, or as they say in the article, the stock sale comes shortly before Microsoft's home state of Washington is set to implement a 7% long-term capital gains tax. So that might be another reason why he's like, yo, let me just take this out right now, use it towards the things that I want to use it for, and so that way I don't get hit with this tax. So that's another reason. I don't really see it as a big deal. The dude has been great as the CEO of Microsoft. I mean, the stock has compounded 35% year over year since he's taken over. So who am I to be like, yo, you know what? How dare he sell anything? He took over in 2014 and the company is now worth $2.5 trillion. Only company that's larger than it right now is Apple. So he's done a great job since he took over for Microsoft. So I don't really see it as much of a big deal. Portfolio is doing pretty well. We've had a 20% return overall. As far as the dividends we have earned this year, we've earned about $50 in dividend, more than double what we had last year, almost triple what I made all of last year. And that's with December not even coming in. And I'm going to get dividends from Microsoft in December and a couple other companies. So it's going to be a big year for me in the sense of just how much, just seeing that number grow. But it's great to just get those dividends. It's so nice to be getting free money just because I own some companies and I own some stocks. But anyway, that's all I got for y'all. I hope y'all learned one, maybe two things out of this entire thing. And if you did, hit that like button. If you loved it, hit the subscribe button. But I'm gonna catch y'all up on the next one. Remember, generosity is always greater than greed. God bless each and every single one of y'all. And by the way, if you want one of these hoodies that is looking so fly, link down in the bio. But I'm gonna catch y'all up in the next one. God bless each and every single one of y'all. And your boy's out of here. Peace.